Hi, welcome back to Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I'm your host, Jerry Hansen. In an effort to bring quality educational videos to my channel for the YouTubers like me who go out and search YouTube for instructional videos on how to do certain things, and with the lack of detailed information, I'm producing videos when, as things come up, I will make an effort to show you how to do these things step by step and how to do them safely. So today we finished the car replacing both head gaskets. I have a 7-part series on replacing the head gaskets. Because I blew the head gasket in this car, we have antifreeze that got into the oil, and so we need to replace the oil on the car. So I'm just going to go ahead and use this as an instructional video also on simply how to change the oil on your car. So you need to do that periodically. So you want to do it every so many thousand miles according to your manufacturer's directions. Please consult your owner's manual for the type of oil to use in your particular vehicle, and it also depends on the season as well. And you also want to consult your manufacturer's recommendations for the frequency of changing your oils. So let's go to changing the oil. The first thing we want to do is block your back wheels. Since I'm going to be jacking the front end of the car up in the air to give enough room for me to climb underneath, I want to be able to block the wheels with suitable blocking pieces. I'm going to go ahead and block it in front of and behind. These are rocks that I have handy, but be sure you have suitable blocking material to keep the car from rolling. One thing, when you're under the car, you do not want that car to fall on you. So here's another piece of advice. Use a car jack stand and a floor jack. If you don't have one available, just use your regular jack to get the car high enough, but make sure your car is held up by a jack stand. Do not try to use something unrelated or not rated for holding a car up safely. Because, my friend, you do not want this car to fall on you while you're on it. So I have put a piece of plywood down to support the jack and the jack stand so it won't sink in the dirt. So these jack stands are adjustable. And we'll just let the pressure out of the jack, and now the car's resting on the jack stand. The next thing I like to do is remove the oil filler cap and set that aside. Okay, some examples of some tools you might want to use is you have these 3 types of oil filter wrenches. This one fits right over the top of the oil filter, and you're able to put a socket wrench in there and put that in and just tighten in or remove your oil filter. So there's one type of oil filter remover. This is another type of oil filter wrench. This goes on the oil filter and supposedly gets a grip and takes it off. But this, in my opinion, is a lousy design. Now you got this other new design that I just purchased yesterday. It is an adjustable oil filter wrench that you're able to grab the oil filter and turn it right out of there. Some oil filters, when they place them in the cars, they make them really difficult because they crowd them in. So you'll need one of a variety of tools like this one mainly, or one of these for removing your oil filter. Now this is an oil catchment basin. When I go take the oil the nut off of the oil pan, we're going to drain the oil into this bucket. And then I have a filter or a funnel that I'm going to put on the engine so I can funnel the oil down into the engine without dripping. And also when I get done with emptying the container, I'm going to put this in the container and drain the oil from this bucket through the funnel into this container and take this container down to a recycler so they can recycle the oil. So those are the basic tools. So let's climb under the car and take the nut off and start draining the oil. This is the oil pan. This is the nut we want to take off to drain the oil. We're going to put that socket on there and try to get that loose. Okay, let's get that off of there. See how milky it is? It means there's water in there. So we're going to let that drain out for a couple hours. But oil does not look like that when it's draining out of there initially. It should be black or a brown. So we're going to let that do its thing, and we'll try to get this filter off. Okay, there's my oil filter. It's crowded in there among those lines, so I'm going to use that wrench to get in there and take that off. Okay, now I just want to loosen this filter. So I'm going to try to use this wrench. Oh, yay! And it works. Okay. Hey, I recommend this wrench. I do. Because I've tried for a long time trying to get that oil filter off of there. So I'm going to take it off and replace it with a new oil filter. I like to take a little oil and smear it around the sides on the seal before I put it on. And there's what it looks like before you put the oil filter on. And we're going to put this new oil filter on. Okay, once you get the oil drained into the oil pan, into the bucket from under the car, put the plug back in, and then put your funnel in your oil fill port on top of your valve cover, and then you can go ahead and proceed to pour your oil in. Now this is 5 quarts. This car takes 5 quarts when you change the filter. So you change the oil filter, like I showed you here, and you also change the oil, and so you're going to use 5 quarts for this engine. So you just dump this right into there, and it fills your car up. Take your funnel out, and don't forget to put your cap back on. And then we are going to use a rag, and we're going to check the oil. Okay, you'll see there's 2 holes, and you'll see hash marks in there, and there's little arrows, and there's some verbiage that's full. So what it's indicating is you don't want your oil to get beyond this parameter right here. Beyond this this hole lower is too low. Beyond this hole up here up is too high. So you want your oil towards the top part of this, towards that hole, but no farther than that hole, and that indicates you've got oil. Typically a V6 engine will take about 5 quarts of oil. So let's check the oil level. And the oil level is fine. Yay. So we got clean oil in the car. It's good for another, however many miles. Mine's rated 5,000 miles to an oil change. But for now I'm going to do it more frequently just to get everything cleaned out of the engine and get all that other gunk that was in the engine that when I had the leak in the head gasket, which had allowed antifreeze to penetrate through to the cylinders and mix with the oil. We want to get all that cleared out. So until the car starts having just plain clean air coming out of the exhaust, or as clean as you can get it, without the vapor, that's a good indication that all the water and stuff is out of there. So I'm going to do an oil change on this car since I redid the head gaskets probably about every 1,000 miles for about the first 5,000 miles, and we'll do 5,000 miles after that. Okay, let's turn it on. There's very little smoke coming out of the tailpipe, which indicates a bad head gasket. Good. All right. Let's take this for a test drive. Oh, I got victory over this car. The head gasket's replaced. Changed the oil twice in it so it would work all the water out of all the ports and cylinders and stuff. And when I was running the car, it doesn't show any appearance of water in the cylinders anymore or in the oil because it'll burn a white smoke. That's a good indication of a blown head gasket. So this video series is finished on replacing the head gaskets on a 3.8 liter V6 Fuel Injected engine, which is in my 1996 Thunderbird. Hey, this engine appears in a lot of other cars, so look those cars up. This engine might be in your car. I'm your host, Jerry Hansen. I want to thank you for sticking with me, and please subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. This really helps out my channel a lot, helps me out a lot. And stay tuned. I've got more projects coming. I'm going to be busy this winter. I have no notion of slowing down, even though the Homestead is finished. So, oh, that's a new series I've started. Check that series out. I want to thank you for coming.